Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. Today's video, as always voted on by our patrons, is a review for the Space Marine Intercessors. A very popular choice within the Codex. They come in at 5 power for a min unit of 5 or 20 points a model before any upgrades are taken. So before we get stuck into their stats, we first need to look at their keywords of note. So like most infantry units in the book, they do have the core keywords, so they interact quite well with a lot of the special characters and stratagems. They've also got the Intercessor keyword, they are Primaris units, and also they are infantry. So in terms of their stat line, movement 6 inch, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 2, attacks 2, leadership 7 and a 3+ save. The sergeant gets an extra attack and has a leadership value of 8. So these stats are very standard nowadays as far as Space Marines are concerned, although it is really nice having 2 wounded troop models. Ability wise, only 2 here. Angels of Death, which is actually 4 abilities cased into 1, which contains our Thou Shalt Know No Fear, which is ignoring combat attrition test modifiers. Then Bolt of Discipline, which we'll touch upon later in the video in the weapons section, likewise with the Shock Assault and Combat Doctrines. They then have the ability to Combat Squad if you have a full unit of 10 men, allowing you to split them up into 2 units of 5 during deployment, giving a bit of flexibility as it only counts as 1 troop choice for your detachment. Okay, so onto the weapons then. Every model is equipped with a bolt pistol, a bolt rifle, then the frag and crack grenades. So that's the basic loadout. Let's firstly check that out before diving into the upgrade options. So we all know what a bolt pistol is and what the frag and crack grenades do. I'll put them on the screen just in case you don't. As for the bolt rifle, it's 30-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 4, -1 AP and 1 damage. So an improved bolt gun with a 30-inch range and -1 AP, which will become a -2 AP in the tactical doctrine, which is turn 2 and optionally turn 3. With the extra range, it also brings your rapid fire range to range 15-inch. That's if you moved, but with Bolt of Discipline and being an infantry model, if you remain stationary, you can fire double shots at the full range of 30-inch, which is really good. A unit of these is really easy to buff with rerolls due to being core, but let's just say they weren't buffed and you had 10 of them firing while remaining stationary. Hitting on 3s will score you 13.3 hits on average, and wounding standard toughness 4 models on 4s, giving you approximately 6.7 wounds. Against toughness 5 units such as Death Guard, it's going to be more like 4.4. So it's definitely an anti-infantry weapon due to the low damage. So as for upgrades, plenty to get through here. The first is all models in the unit can have their bolt rifle replaced with 1 auto bolt rifle each. So the auto bolt rifle is 24-inch range, assault 3, strength 4, and there's no AP but 1 damage. So you lose a bit of range on the AP of the weapon. It is -1 AP in the tactical doctrine like the previous weapon, but with this weapon you're getting more shots. So a 10-man unit now has 30 shots, bringing you approximately 20 hits on average. Against those toughness 4 models it's now 10 wounds, and against those toughness 5 models is 6.7 wounds on average. So this is not just an anti-infantry weapon, it's also an anti-horde weapon too, as those larger units tend to have a poor armor save to begin with, so the AP isn't really needed. And they also tend to come towards you to get into combat, so the range is also not an issue. The second upgrade option is all models in the unit can have their bolt rifle replaced with 1 stalker bolt rifle each. This is a 36-inch range weapon which is heavy 1, strength 4, -2 AP and the damage is 2. So this is your elite killing weapon, also very good against other marine builds due to the damage being 2. That -2 AP also puts power armor down to a 5+, or even a 6+ if it's the first battle round, which is the Devastator Doctrine. The range is also pretty good, so you're picking your targets rather than being forced to shoot at the unit within 24-inch range. The downsides to this weapon that it's only 1 shot per man, and also it's a heavy weapon, so moving will incur a -1 to hit penalty. A 10-man unit will roughly get you 6.7 hits. Against those toughness 4 models it's now only 3.3 wounds, and toughness 5 it's 2.2 wounds. Now even though these figures are low, you've yet to use the AP or the damage at this point, which is where their strong point actually is. So the next 2 upgrades I'm going to actually read together. Intercessor Sergeant that is not equipped with an Astartes chainsword, a power sword or a power fist or a thunderhammer can exchange its bolt rifle, auto bolt rifle or stalker bolt rifle for one of the following, either a hand flamer, a plasma pistol or an Astartes chainsword or power sword. Then furthermore, if the sergeant is not equipped with a chainsword or power sword, it can be equipped with one of the following, a chainsword, a power fist, a power sword or a thunderhammer. So I put these 2 options together. They're both been written pretty poorly and quite confusingly. So the Sergeant doesn't actually have an Astartes chainsaw to begin with. So to simplify these upgrades, you can take one melee weapon and take one of the small range weapons, and they will replace your bolt rifle. Neither of these options will replace your bolt pistol though, that stays with the model. It's also trying to not allow you to take two melee weapons such as two chainswords for the extra attacks, or a power sword and a chainsword, etc. I would like to have seen this FAQ'd as it is a little bit confusing. Anyway, let's get through these options too. So I'll skim over some of these as they are quite common. The power sword is strength +1, making it strength 5, -3 AP and 1 damage. Now usually you're wounded on 3s with this unless it's toughness 5, and that -3 AP is useful, but it's only 1 damage here, so it's not great against the marine meta. The power fist is strength ×2, making it strength 8, -3 AP again, and it's 2 damage this time, but it's a -1 to hit. This one costs you 10 points, it wrecks infantry as you're likely wounded on 2s. Great damage too, but it's quite pricey to be putting on an Intercessor Sergeant in my opinion. The Thunder Hammer is a strength ×2 weapon again, and it's only -2 AP this time, but the damage is 3. It is a -1 to hit again. It's a little bit more useful than a power fist for me, as that damage is 3, so you're now squashing Terminator models and really hurting vehicles too. Again though, it's very pricey, especially on an Intercessor Sergeant, so I'd probably leave the hammers for the actual Terminators in my army. The Hand Flamer option is 12-inch range, pistol D6, strength 3, no AP and 1 damage, and you're auto hitting with this weapon. So it is a pistol, so it shoots and also hits into combat too. Only strength 3 though, so it can maybe peel off a wound, depends on the amount of hits really. I probably wouldn't take it for 5 points. The Plasma Pistol is the next one, which has 2 profiles to shoot with, the standard one and the supercharged one. Both 12-inch range pistol 1, the standard is strength 7, -3 AP and 1 damage, and the supercharged variant is strength 8, -3 AP and 2 damage. And of course if you roll a 1 to hit while supercharging, your model is going to be destroyed. So only really useful if you're able to reroll 1s, otherwise you're risking that plasma blowing up in your sergeant's face. Not worth firing at vehicles due to the low damage, but will wound infantry models on 3s. Again, I'd probably not select it for the 5 points. So I'm not really sold on any of the sergeant upgrades if I'm honest, although if I had an infantry heavy list, then it is a nice way of hiding some high strength weapons within units. The final upgrade is for every 5 models in the unit, one model equipped with a bolt rifle, auto bolt rifle or a stalker bolt rifle can equip one Astartes grenade launcher. So it can be fired in 2 different profiles. The frag grenade is 30-inch range, assault D6, strength 3, no AP and 1 damage with the blast keyword. The crack grenade variant is a 30-inch range, assault 1, strength 6, -1 AP and D3 damage. So basically they're the same as the frag and crack grenades, except that you get a 30-inch range and they're assault weapons, not grenade weapons. Just to note, this weapon does not replace your rifle. It's simply an add-on pack, so you can fire this alongside your bolt rifle option. 5 points, that's not that bad at all, and on a max unit of 10 men you can take 2. Also, it's quite nice that it's 30-inch range, so it means you can fire at the same target that you're going to be firing the rest of your weapons in the unit at. So before we move on to the synergy within the book, we need to cover how they fight in the fight phase. Now they don't have a melee weapon to hand, so you just need to use their strength characteristic, which is strength 4, and a full unit of 10 will have 21 attacks when you include the sergeant. And that doesn't include another 10 for shock assault, and possibly another one if your sergeant took a chainsword. And then on top of that, any chapter specific abilities that you may have. So on the charge or being charged, you should be getting 31 attacks base, that hit on 3s and likely wound on 4s, which scores you an average of 10 wounds, which is still really good for a unit without any actual melee weapons. So that's the profile covered, moving in some synergy between the unit and the book itself. Stratagems to start us off with, the obvious one being transhuman physiology for 1 CP, to not be able to be wounded on less than a 4+ for the phase, so it keeps your guys alive against strength 5+ weaponry. The stratagem called rapid fire is a big deal for this unit. It is 2 CP, but you simply can shoot again. And it's not limited to just rapid fire weapons, it's all weapons. Gmrap Might for 1 CP used in the fight phase turns 6s to hit into auto wounds. Now these guys aren't naturally combat orientated, but still get plenty of attacks, 31 like we already mentioned if charged or were charged, so you should be getting about 5 6s on average from that. Uncompromising firepower for 2 CP is the ability to shoot while still performing actions, so obviously very useful in a mission that has secondaries. Next you got Steady Advance, which is also 2 CP, allows you to move and still be considered to have remained stationary, so that you get double shots at full distance of 30-inch range with your bolter discipline after moving. You've got Adaptive Strategy for 2 CP, which unlocks all the doctrines for a turn, providing that your warlord is on the battlefield. So adding an additional -1 AP to all of your weapons, which is pretty good. Auspex Scan can be used, but I'd probably use it on a more stronger shooting unit, not strength 4 for me. That's all the main stratagems that you're going to be using on the Intercessors from the main book. Now we need to look at the unit synergy. The obvious candidates here that spring to mind are your captain, giving rerolls of 1s to hit, making your firepower slightly more effective. It also aids that plasma pistol if you took that. Lieutenants give the rerolls of 1s to wound, which is also pretty neat as you're only strength 4. Chaplains are also useful whether you're in combat or you're shooting, as they've got all sorts of litanies. The recitation of hate that adds 1 to your hit roll when you're shooting, which means you're hitting on 2s. That one in particular I'd use on these guys. Librarians are always handy, giving an in-1 save with that psychic fortress aura can really aid your durability, especially while on an objective. Apothecaries are the last one here, which we've spoken about in past videos. They're amazing just for healing up models and bringing one back each turn if required, and on top of that they provide a 6+ feel no pain save as well. Now in terms of chapters, these guys work well in every chapter, starting us off with Dark Angels with their Grim Resolve chapter tactic. So for units that didn't move, get a +1 to the hit roll. One of their new super doctrines allows them to fire rapid fire and assault weapons while in combat during the tactical doctrine, although it will be on a 5+ to hit. White Scars have lightning assault, which is they don't suffer penalties for advancing and firing assault weapons, which is great for your auto bolt rifles. Imperial Fists with their Siege Masters, which prevents enemy units from gaining light cover, pretty good. And also bolt weapons that score a 6 to hit will get an additional hit, so nothing wrong with more DACA there. Ultramarines can fall back and shoot with their Codex discipline. They've also got a useful super doctrine called Zions of Guilliman, which allow them to have been considered to have remained stationary as long as they didn't fall back or advance. So heavy weapons and rapid fire weapons will both benefit. Then lastly, Raven Guard have all sorts of cover shenanigans with their Shadow Masters. So the last thing to discuss before wrapping up this review is the tactics. Now these guys are your point scorers. They literally win you game after game. There are 3 types of Intercessors, and these are your mid-ground options. So either keep them at your home objective if you're not taking heavy Intercessors, or get them moving towards the mid-tail objectives. That objective secured is going to be crucial, and you've got troops that are not far off being elite level when it comes to resiliency, as they've got 2 wounds apiece. So against troops in other factions you should be superior points for points. Now if you spot a bit of danger, such as a horde of 30 Orc boys going for the middle of the board, then you need to act on it. The Intercessors will not win that fight. Now you can skim a lot of them down with your shooting abilities, but by the time they reach you, you're going to be in trouble. So be prepared to throw in some supporting fire from other friendly units to trim that unit down even further. Keep these guys firing at threats on objectives or screens that are blocking the path for your bigger and badder units. You don't want, say, an Ironclad Dreadnought being stuck in a round of combat fighting a min unit of Tyrannid Termagants, which are actually just screening the monsters. You need your Dreadnought to be fighting as early as you can against the biggest targets. So shoot those pests out the way for it. Very simple. Now depending on which HQ you take, you may find that your HQ is being babysat by these guys, as they provide a good lookout sir for him, and he's also providing the rights of battle aura in return, or whatever other ability you're going to have from a HQ. So simple synergy there. With this unit I'd never go too far forward unless there's no other options. They can fight, but if you wanted Intercessors that are going out to fight, then really you should be picking Assault Intercessors. So to conclude with this unit, in my opinion, point for point, one of the best units in the book, possibly even the game. They do so much for you within the list, provide an important troop choice for your detachment, they've got objectives secured, they shoot pretty well and fight well enough to fend off what they can. With the core keyword, they sync up magically with almost any character you field. They are Primera, so they're going to gain access to those extra stratagems. And of course, they've got perks within their stats, with their 2 wounds in particular standing out. The weapon options are very versatile, so they can be anti-horde, anti-elite, or just mid-ground for the unknown events. If I had to nitpick, I'd love to have seen a melee weapon within the unit as an option, perhaps even just a combat knife, but we can't have it all, so I'm not too disappointed. So as for rating, the Intercessors get a Planet 40k rating of 5 out of 5. Easily an S tier unit for me, points for points, they're a steal. Let me know your thoughts below. Also remember to add your preferred combos and whatnot within your chapters. Drop a like if you've enjoyed the video, and sub if you're new. We're still on the road to 3,000 subs, so we'd love it if you can join us on the way. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.